I broke down in tears. I ran around the whole house. I was crying. The most happy tears I've ever had in my life. This was supposed to be Klopp's last dance, and United said, y'all gonna go ahead and cha-cha slide out this one for me, right? Go ahead and Millie rock your way all the way back to Anfield. Script writers for the Premier League be script writing. Their pen is impeccable. Every single time Saka steps up to take a penalty, I get nervous. I get sweaty, I get anxious. Jadon Sancho. He is the perfect example of it's not always the player, sometimes it's the team. Like, hello, what's going on? It's your boy Elischa here, and welcome back to another episode of Evergreen. This is episode 2, and whether you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or watching on YouTube, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you spending your moment here listening or watching the show. Make sure if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the Gold channel. You know what I'm saying? That helps us grow. That helps us to get the cousins all around the world to join us more, to see the channel more, right? So we can make this a big, happy family. This is the football show by football fans for football fans. So we're going to get right to it. First, we're talking about the FA Cup quarterfinals, or one of the FA Cup quarterfinal matchups. Liverpool versus Manchester United at Old Trafford, and all I can say is this was an instant classic. This was an instant classic match. Like, you just know after a certain matchup, you just know that this one of them ones that you're not gonna forget. And for a very simple reason, the amount of goals, the intensity of that matchup, the meaning that it has for both teams, Manchester United and Liverpool, it just made it a classic match. So essentially, at Old Trafford, game starts. United go up 1-0, right? McTominay makes it 1-0 for United, right? Then right before the end of the first half, McAllister equalizes for Liverpool. And as you could have guessed it, the third scorer, right? McTominay scores first, McAllister scores second, McDonald's scored third. No, there's no McDonald's. I'm loving it. But no, Salah goes up 2-1 right before the half for Liverpool. Now, obviously, this is at Old Trafford. It's the FA Cup. These are two longtime rivals. Surely the score is not going to stay like that, right? Right? Correct. Because then Anthony, lo and behold, Anthony equalizes for United and makes it 2-2. Now, at this point, right, it's 2-2. We're at Old Trafford. It's the quarterfinals. Anthony scores. There's no rules. There's no rules. Everything goes. Regular time ends. The 90 minutes ends in a draw. Got to go to extra time. Extra time, the youngster, Harvey Elliott, puts Liverpool up front for the second time in the match. Now you're thinking to yourself, it's extra time. It's 3-2. Everybody's tired. There's no way there could be more. Wrong, because Marcus Rashford then equalizes it for United. It's 3-3. What's happening? What's going on? The laws of physics are not making sense right now. It's just not adding up. The math is not mathing. And when you thought it was all over, when you thought, again, everybody, the normal is settling in, right? It's 3-3. The game is ending. We're in added time of extra time. This is going to penalties. An insaneness, or what the British call it, a madness happens, and Amad Diallo puts one in the net for Manchester United, the last kick of the game, to win it and put them through to the semifinals of the FA Cup. This is it's craziness, an instant classic. And honestly, there was no unfairness, right? At some point earlier in the match, who was it that scored and was denied? I think it was McAllister, again, in the first half for Liverpool, that he scored a goal. It was called offside. Other than that, great officiating, great defense and offense on both sides. It's just the team that was meant to win, and also the team that has a 12th man came out with the W in the end. But honestly, a great matchup, an instant classic. What does this mean for United? What does this mean for Liverpool? For United, obviously, I said this last episode that they're not going to make top 4. This is a crazy season for United. Ten Hag has had problem with the media. He's had problem with Sancho, we're going to talk about later. But they're not in a great position this season. This right now was a statement. I don't know if it's going to mean something in the long run. I don't want United fans to start getting ahead of themselves. I don't know if this is going to actually mean something, but it was definitely a statement to remind people that, hey, this is our house, right? And when we're on it, because on paper we have the team, when we're on it on our day, when we're really focused and we really want to get the win, we going to get the win, which is what they did today. Now, for Liverpool, what this means is, hey, the pressure is on because now we've just given up one trophy. Right? This was supposed to be Klopp's last dance, and United said, y'all go ahead and cha-cha slide out this one for me, right? Go ahead and Millie rock your way all the way back to Anfield because you're not going to win today. I'm sorry, Klopp, right? We love you. We love you as a rival or whatever the case may be, and you're leaving at the end of the season, but this one, we're going to go ahead and take this one right out your hand for us, all right? But for Liverpool, yes, this means there's one less trophy that they're able to win this season. Obviously, there's still the Champions League. Obviously, there's still the Premier League. Obviously, there's still Europa League and the Premier League, but they could have. I mean, I don't know if anybody expected Liverpool to win the treble this season, but this can definitely also affect them moving forward, thinking, damn, we just lost a crucial match. It was a well-fought battle, but this was a crucial match that could have definitely put some fear in their adversaries, in their opponents' hearts for moving forward after the international break. Because when you're going into it with this type of energy and you win a classic match like this, anybody coming after is going to be scared. Now, not saying they're not going to be scared, but this would have definitely solidified, or we going to put fear in the hearts of Man City. Also, we going to put fear in the hearts of Arsenal because now they're like, oh, we got to be on point because Liverpool is out here beating Man United at Old Trafford in an FA Cup. So it would have just set the tone for everything moving forward. But honestly, Liverpool played an outstanding match. I got to give credit to United too. This was just a dope matchup all around, but definitely puts a dent in Liverpool's season moving forward. Speaking of Liverpool, now obviously the Premier League title race is extremely close right now, right? Arsenal got 64 points. Liverpool and Man City got 63. And one of the things in football that a lot of people complain about, or one of the reasons why they always praise the Premier League, is because the Premier League, they say, is the most entertaining league in the world. Why is that? Is because there's different winners every year. You never really know at the beginning of the season or even midway through the season, oftentimes, who's going to win it. Obviously, Leicester in 2016 was a miracle season. So there's always these things that make it entertaining based on the surprise factor of the Premier League, right? It's competitive. You don't know who's going to be victorious, who's going to make top four, the big teams falling to the little guys. All of these different narratives make it interesting to people. Now, due to that, you have to look at a lot of the other leagues in Europe and all across the world and say, well, why are they not at this level? It's just the language barrier. It's just that a lot of these leagues aren't as marketable or aren't being shown as much all over the world. They're not being broadcasted as much, but you have to also look at the competition. It's not just about the exposure. I mean, right now in Europe, the only other leagues that are as close together within the top three or the top four, as close as the Premier League, is Poland, where the top three, the difference from first to third is 48, 46, and 44. And then you're looking at the Greek Super League, where it's from the top four, it's 62, 60, 59 points, and 57 points for the fourth team. So, and outside of Europe, the Mexican League is the closest. I mean, MLS just started. The Brazilian League hasn't started yet. And out of the top leagues, the Mexican League is the only one with 25 for the first, 25 for first place, and 22 and 22 for second and third place. So, and 22 points for second and third place. So, what would make, my question would be to everybody listening, everybody watching, is what would make the competition a lot more interesting in these other leagues? Like, why is it that the Premier League is the one that makes the difference? Is it just that they have the best players in the world? I wouldn't go flat out and say that, because we're looking at a league like La Liga. I've always said La Liga is more technical than the Premier League. La Liga has more quality than the Premier League. However, we know this. I'm a Barca fan, and I'm not going to be a hypocrite about this. Most of the time, it's either going to be Real or Barca. And the only other times it's going to be like a team like, I don't know, Betis or Atletico or Bilbao or something like that. Like, they're going to put the pressure on Barca and Real. But for the most part, it's only those two teams. So I'm really curious as to what about the Premier League, because I don't have the answer to this. I'm not going to lie to y'all. But what about the Premier League just makes it so volatile every year? Like, you really never know. It's like turning, it's like playing Russian roulette. It's British roulette. You never know who's going to play the Premier League. Like, at this point, betting on the this is why I would never start the season up and put no parlays on who's going to win the Premier League. because you really never know. Man City could be the best team out. They just came off winning a treble. Their team is not so different than they were last season. Haaland is not having a great season right now. Like, how can you possibly predict that after the last 365 days that they just had? So it's really interesting, and I like to see other leagues start catching up in that sense, not necessarily as quality, because like I said, I do think that La Liga has more quality, but in terms of the narratives, whoever the script writers or the script writers for the Premier League be script writing, I'm not gonna lie, their pen is impeccable, right? Their pen is impeccable, because the scripts, they just don't make themselves. Like you like, I have the feeling that there's just a different thing about, maybe it's the culture of the country, maybe it's just the environment in England. Is it the fan bases? What is it? Is it the type of coaches specifically? Is there like a Premier League Illuminati that is moving the chess pieces and is making this like this? What is it? I don't know, because even the issues with the officiating sometimes doesn't, or at least to the naked eye, it doesn't make a full dent enough to be like, oh, somebody is directing this towards one direction or the other. It just always feels like organically, naturally, the Premier League is always swaying in all types of directions, and you can never really predict fully, especially not at the beginning of the season, who's going to take it. Extremely interesting. Personally, being in the U.S., I'd like to see MLS be continuously be like that. We don't have relegation, so there's a bit of the pressure that's not in it. However, there's a lot of time where the first seeds in the East or the West in MLS go into the playoffs and they don't win it, right? And they might get knocked out in the first round. So in that sense, in the unpredictable factor, MLS is just the same. But if a lot more other leagues in the world, or the top leagues, or the leagues that really do get exposure, would be like this, football would be that much more interesting. And again, yes, I understand it. There's nothing wrong with football. Let's keep Premier League on top. Let's keep everybody else, as the little brothers of the Premier League. No, I would like to see every other league be that entertaining, so that we can all never be bored in football. Like, that's the point, isn't it? To have the best, most entertaining football constantly all year round. Obviously not all year round, because players need rest. Players actually need rest. Like, they play way too much. However, we want the narratives to constantly be hot fire, spicy sauce. Come on, hot peppers. We need that. And I would like to see that personally. Now, reiterating what I said before, the Premier League title is obviously extremely close. And at this point, it feels like this is not just a title race, but also a campaign race to proving themselves and us that they actually deserve to win the Premier League title. That Arsenal, Liverpool, and Man City deserve to do this. It's like they're trying to convince us. And at this point, to me, that feels a lot like a presidential campaign, like a presidential elections, which just so happened to be happening in the U.S. later this year. And that just inspired me to think to myself, to ask myself the question, what would it look like if the Premier League title race turned into the Premier League election campaign? See for yourself. This just in, the EPL Prem-Sidential Race is heating up as there are only 10 matches left in the season. It all comes down to this, then your three finalists are Arsenal, the young team from London, full of energy, full of spirit, and a faith that doesn't waver. All right, whose baby is this? Liverpool, the Scousers who are determined to give their beloved manager the perfect send-off. And finally, Manchester City. They have money. And we've been so fortunate, we want to share our fortune with the less fortunate. Like this guy. Wait, not this. Oh, thanks. I'm gonna need that back when the camera cut. Who will win this presidential election and become the leader of the free world?
No, not the free world.
What?
It's not a real election, okay? It's just the Premier League.
Oh.
It's just football.
Oh, my bad. I got it. Yeah, it's just football, y'all. Who's gonna win the Prem? Let me know. Obviously, every week we're gonna do something different other than just talk about the football. I know y'all love talking about the football, but sometimes we gotta go a little outside the box and have some fun and have some adventures in relation to football. But back to talking about the matches, the Premier League, well, the Champions League, I'm bugging. The Champions League round of 16 is officially over. We are going into the quarterfinals right now. So if you didn't see any of the results from this past week, here's what happened. Arsenal beat Porto 1-0 in regular time. Porto had beat Arsenal in their first match together against each other. And so it went into aggregate, stayed 1-1 in aggregate and went into penalties where Arsenal defeated Porto to move through to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. And honestly, I'm not going to lie, I'm traumatized. Bukayo Saka has traumatized me. He's traumatized me. I need therapy for Saka because every single time Saka steps up to take a penalty, I get nervous. I get sweaty, I get anxious because it just takes me back to the Euros. It takes me all the way back to the Euros again because I'm not going to lie to you, at the time, taking it back to the Euros, when that whole ordeal happened, I didn't think too much of it. I thought it was OD. I thought it was a little misplaced. I didn't think that Southgate made the right decision, obviously, in putting all these youngsters at the end of the penalty shootout, and especially not Saka. But when the game ended, I'm like, damn, that sucks. Like, I feel bad for them. But that was pretty much it. I was ready to laugh about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, ha, y'all lost, whatever. Move on. It's football. It happens. But the reactions from the English fans and everything else that ended up spilling over and expanding and being so much bigger than it needed to be is what really caused that trauma, because it's like, damn, like they really, like they were cooking those boys. And it really wasn't fair, because especially for being so young and being willing to step up and take that responsibility and take those penalties for your country in a moment of such high pressure says a lot about their character, says a lot about what type of athletes, what type of footballers they are. But obviously the public didn't feel the same, because a lot of time football fans, and especially English fans, all they care about is we want to win, we want to win. If you don't make us win, if you don't give us that W, we hate you. Pitchforks and torches. Off with their heads. It's just like, yo, come on, bro. Like, these are youngsters. They stepped up. They made it this far. Congratulate them, applaud them, and like motivate them and just encourage them for the next one, for the next tournament. Because obviously now we're back at it. The Euros are this summer, and England has a lot of quality on their side. And now, if they don't have the fans on their side, if they don't have the fans backing them, thinking that, oh, when we look in the stands and we see the English flags, we see the English fans, we know that no matter what we do, they're going to support us, they're going to back us up, then they're not going to play with the same love for that trophy, right? They might be playing on with a chip of their shoulder to try to prove y'all wrong, but what would it look like if these players felt like, okay, our country, our nation, through thick and thin, for better or for worse, it sounds like a marriage. Am I saying vows right now? Am I saying vows for English fans? But it feels like that. Like, if they felt like y'all had their backs, maybe they would play with different intentions, with a different motivation. But yeah, I get nervous every time Saka steps up to take a penalty. But also in the Champions League, Sancho was one of the scorers in the Dortmund versus PSV match. Jadon Sancho was one of the scorers that helped Dortmund to go through to the quarterfinals. And I love this right now, because Jadon Sancho, who was playing for Manchester United for a few years, who was at Dortmund and then came to United. Jadon Sancho, who had so much turmoil as soon as he stepped into England. He is the personification. He is the perfect example of, it's not always the player. Sometimes it's the team. Sometimes it's the manager. The media and a lot of fans don't allow themselves to accept this, but Sancho is to me, he's a clear example of, I don't think it was really him. It seemed like it was the environment that he was in. United fans might not allow themselves to accept that truth, but the fact that he was playing so well for both England and, on the club level, and Dortmund, to the point where United wanted him over. He comes to United. Slowly and slowly, his confidence is depleting. His performances are depleting. He's playing less time. He's just not performing well for United. And that was for I believe Ole was still the manager at the time. Ten Hag comes in, and it goes from bad to worse. It goes from bad to worse. He has a bad relationship with the manager. He's either being late or missing training fully. And at this point, it's just like, what's happening? It must be he just has a bad attitude, or he's entitled, or he's getting paid too much, or whatever everybody likes to say. But then he goes happily pushes for a move back to Dortmund, goes to Dortmund from day one. He's looking over the moon. That boy, Sancho looked like a light bulb the way he was glowing as soon as he left United. As soon as he goes back to Germany and he goes to Dortmund, he is glowing. That boy looked beautiful and happy. His teeth are shining like they never shone before. Obviously, something is different. He starts balling out for Dortmund, and now he helps them to move through to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. We'll never fully know what was the whole 360 scope. There's always three sides to the story: the A side, the B side, and the truth, right? And honestly, I don't think we'll ever fully know the full scope of what happened with Sancho at United. However, it seems to me, by the way he's playing, that it's not that he's not skillful, it's not that he doesn't have the talent, it's that maybe that environment just wasn't healthy for him. And now quickly moving on to my team, mi equipo, Football Club Barcelona defeats Napoli 3-1 and also make it to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. The three different goal scorers, Fermin, Cancelo, and Lewandowski score to move La Blaugrana into the quarters. And honestly, I'm on cloud nine right now. Especially, we've been scoring a lot of threes. Barca been scoring a lot of threes. The 3 is our lucky number right now. We scored 3 in the Champions League. We scored 3 against Atletico. Tres leches. Pause. Hold on. Sorry. Not tres leches. Just tres. 3 is our lucky number right now. And we just been doing the damn thing, man. Shout out to Barca. Lewandowski also got two assists. The side part, he got 2 assists this weekend against Atletico and 1 goal. He was man of the match. So it seems like the wheel is turning in the right direction for Barca right now. They're doing well. And these performances just got to keep going, especially with giving the youngsters a chance. Barca became, apparently, according to the statisticians out there, the statisticians, I don't know, the statisticians out there, apparently Barcelona is the first team ever in the Champions League to start 2 players under 17 years old. And I'm not gonna lie, this sounds like some of them LeBron stats. I'm not gonna hold y'all. Like at this point, we just making up statistics. We're just making up stats. Like, come on, like I understand, yeah, that's cool. They just started 2 youngsters, 2 players under 17. But the way that sometimes people frame things on the internet, the way some media pages, the way fans frame it is as if these are some of the most revolutionary, and this is not me hating, this is some of the most revolutionary stats and records of all time. It's like different teams have started young players before. It's like we get so focused on the ages that to me it's a little comical. But with that being said, I also got some stats for y'all. Did y'all know that Messi is the first ever 36-year-old Argentinian to play for both Barcelona and Inter Miami in one career? Did you know that? Did you know that? I bet y'all didn't know that. I bet y'all didn't know that. I bet you didn't know that Cristiano Ronaldo is the first Portuguese player under 6'5" to score 50 goals for Al Nassr. He's the first one ever. I bet you didn't know that. I bet you didn't know that. Did you know that Kylian Mbappe is the first ever half Cameroonian, half French player to be coached by Pochettino, Thomas Tuchel, and Master Splinter? Did you know? You didn't know that. He's a Ninja Turtle. You didn't know that. On the weekends, he's in the sewers in New York City fighting crime. Fun fact for y'all. Those are my stats. Fact check it or don't. Don't Google it. Ask ChatGPT. Maybe it'll give you the right answer. And last but not least, and honestly, the only match that I didn't predict whose winner I didn't predict correctly was Atletico versus Inter Milan. Atletico won the matchup 2-1. It went to extra time because of aggregate. It became 2-2 in aggregate. And Atletico ended up winning the matchup in penalties 3-2. And that was the last of the Champions League round of 16. And with that being said, the stage is set for the quarterfinals. The matchups are Arsenal versus Bayern Munich. Now, if you know, you know that Bayern Munich, last time they met Arsenal, they gave him over 2 legs. They gave him that 10-piece no-sauce McNugget. They gave him 5 goals for each leg. So it's going to be extremely interesting to see how that matchup goes. This time, Arsenal is a much better team. Bayern has been struggling in the Bundesliga this season. They've been good in the Champions League. So that's going to be extremely interesting. Next on that, Dortmund versus Atletico Madrid. I think this is going to be the most balanced matchup of this of this round, of this draw. I do think that I can't wait to see what Jadon Sancho is going to do for Dortmund. That's going to be my player to watch for this matchup. I do think that Dortmund is going to take it. Oh, for Arsenal versus Bayern, I'm predicting that Arsenal over the 2 legs is going to get the best of Bayern Munich and make it through the semifinals. For Dortmund Atletico, I think that Dortmund is going to get it done. I can see Royce and Sancho, maybe I'm wishful thinking a little bit, making the difference for this one. And I do hope that that's what happened. And not that I think Dortmund has it in them. This is football. You never know. But not that I think they can actually win the whole thing. But I do think for this stage that they're going to get the job done and progress to the semifinals. Next up is Barcelona versus PSG. If you know the history, La Remontada 2016, Barcelona comes back and wins it versus PSG 6-1, right? Sergio Roberto, we know the story. We know the story. This was a beautiful time, and I'm not gonna lie, as a Barca fan, I'll tell y'all this story right now. I stood in front of my TV in my living room at the time for 90 minutes. I couldn't go to the bathroom. I couldn't talk to nobody. I couldn't eat. I couldn't drink water. I stood in front of that TV, commercials and all, halftime and all, for 90 plus minutes. 90 plus minutes going. I'm thinking we're about to lose at some point. I'm thinking this going to extra time, all of that, whatever. Like, I'm sweating for 90 minutes. And when the final whistle blew, after Sergio Roberto scored that goal, I swear to you, I broke down in tears. I ran around the whole house. I was crying. The most happy tears I've ever had in my life. And fun fact, full circle moment, when I ended up having the honor to interview Sergio Roberto for BR Football, when I had the pleasure, full circle moment, when I had the pleasure of interviewing Sergio Roberto for BR Football, for Ball, we actually spoke about that specific goal, which was obviously has been the highlight of his career. So it was a beautiful moment for me. Before the interview, I did tell him, yo, you made me cry in the best way possible, and I love you for that. So big shout out to Sergi. Obviously, Mbappe's supposedly last dance with PSG. So I'm expecting that boy is going to do a little something different and turn it on, because he's a clutch. He's got that clutch gene in him. Pause. He's got it in him. Pause. Double pause. My fault. He's got the clutch in him. Okay. All right. He's clutch. In big moments, he doesn't disappear. He stands on business every single time. We've seen what he's done in the finals of the World Cups. And so I do expect that it's going to be very difficult for Barcelona to contain Mbappe specifically. Dembele is going to be back playing against Barca. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. But the biggest one of all of this draw is Real Madrid versus Manchester City. Oh my God. Oh my God. They've been meeting back to back to back. They've had a few meetings over the years. But the most notable one, when Man City met Real Madrid, they met in 2016, they met in 2020, but in 2022, when Real played Man City, I be rolling my R's, but when Real Madrid played Man City, that second leg was some of the best football, was one of the best games I've ever seen in my entire life. The pressure, the anxiety of two teams that's not even mine, one of the most entertaining matchups I've ever seen in my life, and Real get the best of them in that matchup. But obviously, two incredible teams. Jude Bellingham is here, Vinicius is here, Rodrigo is here, Tchouaméni is here, Camavinga is here. This is gonna be a great game. This is the biggest. This is the box office main event of the Champions League quarterfinals. And honestly, I know all football fans are anxious and waiting for that one. It's gonna be a big one. So definitely tune in. Right now, as it stands right now, my answer may change, but I'm gonna go for Real to beat City and make it to the semifinals. I know. I'm not saying it's gonna be an easy matchup. I'm not saying it's gonna be an easy win, but I do think that Los Blancos are gonna go through. Plus, yeah, and again, I'm not going to be a hypocrite just because I'm a Barca fan, but there's a part of me who does want to see more La Liga teams in the semis. I don't want Real to win just because of that, but I do think that they're going to get the best of City. So one thing that's happened over the past few weeks and this season, I just want to give a big shout out to Christian Pulisic, because that boy has been balling for AC Milan. And he deserves this. He deserves this moment. He deserves this type of season right now. And honestly, there's been so much turmoil ever since he left Dortmund, ever since he came to Europe, right? He's constantly having to prove himself as the American who's trying to show that he's good enough to be in Europe, right? And at this point, it just feels like he's over that. It feels like he's over that hump. He's over that narrative, and he's just a great player playing for a great team, right? Right now, AC Milan is second in the Serie A, right? They're going into the quarterfinals of Europa League, right? They've been playing really well. And when you're on the team like AC Milan and you have a player like Rafael Leao that's performing so well, and you can still, as Christian Pulisic is doing, you can still shine, that goes to show what type of quality that you have. And he's scored in the last 3 matches. 3 matches, the last 3 he scored for AC Milan. He scored in a 1-0 win versus Empoli, scored in a 3-1 versus Slavia Praha in Europa, and this last match he scored versus Verona in the 3-1 win for AC Milan. Like, that boy is balling out. And I just want people to put some respect on his name. He comes from the sweetest place on earth, Hershey, Pennsylvania. But it ain't all sweet over here. It could get sour. He might be a Sour Patch Kid. Sour, sweet, gone. That's what happens when he's running past you. Sour, sweet, gone. You can't see where he's going. Hey, man, but shout out to Christian Pulisic doing his thing right now in the Serie A for AC Milan, and can't wait to see what he accomplishes for the rest of the season. Right now, I'm not expecting. It's not wise to say that AC Milan can win the Serie A. Obviously, like, Inter has such a wide lead that it's all about how they finish the season right now and how much they end up closing the gap if Inter Milan slip up a little bit. But they're pretty much gonna win the league. And I'm looking forward to seeing how they progress in Europa, and going into next season, how can Christian Pulisic, expand on this season? I do think that him being Mr. Consistency right now, I do think is going to expand into the summer. I do think that it's going to go into 2025 or into next season, because he's just on a roll right now. God forbid, knock on wood, he stays healthy. We're going to see the best Christian Pulisic era that we've seen throughout his career, honestly, and I'm really happy for him. And speaking of American players, in MLS this weekend, Chicago Fire versus Montreal ended in 4-3. The 4th goal, winner by Kellyn Acosta. And honestly, I just want y'all to watch this goal and tell me, is it that Kellyn's shot was that great? And honestly, an audacious shot. So when Kellyn kicked it up, rumor has it, the ball that came down wasn't his. It was actually the ball that Sterling kicked for his free kick against Leicester in the FA Cup. It went up, right? You know how the blessings go up and the prayers comes down, right? The prayers come up and the blessings come down. Yeah, it's like, Sterling's prayers went up and the blessings came down for Kellyn Acosta, and he scored against Montreal. So I don't make the news, I just report it. Shoot from all the way over there, but when you feel it, you feel it. Honestly, a Hail Mary shot. But is it that was such a great strike, or does the goalkeeper have butterfingers like a chocolate bar? Like, and I love MLS, but there's this narrative that a lot of people in the comments are saying. I'm looking in the BR football section. I'm looking at the different media pages section on social media, on Instagram, and a lot of football fans are saying, "Oh, this is why I can't keep defending MLS. Oh, I can't keep defending MLS for this. This is what's going on. These keepers are so bad." When it's like, yo, MLS also has some of the prettiest goals that you'll ever see. Some of the prettiest goals across football you will find in Major League Soccer. So when I see this narrative of like the goalkeepers are bad, or for mistakes like this, that the league just gets shit for it, the league just gets blamed for this one goalkeeper slipping up, no pun intended. It's just like, yo, this is just a preconceived notion that y'all have of Major League Soccer, and you just can't enjoy fun, unusual moments every time something like this happens. You always end up seeing the glass half empty rather than half full. This was an unusual goal. Shout out to Kellyn Acosta. He just moved from LAFC to Chicago. This was a good moment for me, and I enjoyed it. So to everybody who's constantly criticizing MLS, start trying to see. I implore you, right? I I challenge you to start seeing outside of your bias for Americans, for the American soccer scene, for the American football scene, and just start seeing the football for what it is, because goals like this happen in Europe all the time. They happen in Europe all the time. So this wasn't just like a MLS fluke. This was just a fun goal, and I would take it as that. Like, learn to enjoy the game. Damn. Because it's Saudi, because it's MLS, doesn't mean you can't enjoy it. Like, it's okay. It's okay to enjoy football. It's okay. It's okay to enjoy it outside of Europe. It's not the end-all, be-all of this game. It's the beautiful game for a reason. It's a global game. Enjoy it as such. Switching gears a little bit, one thing that I really wanted to talk about, obviously, for those of you who don't know, I am from Haiti, born and raised in Haiti. I came here to the United States in 2010 after a big earthquake in Haiti. And unfortunately, the country hasn't quite recovered from the effects of not just the lack of infrastructure, not just the destruction that the earthquake caused, but also a lot of the political corruption that the country has been experiencing from far way before the earthquake. But, you know, with everything that's going on, and it's gotten from bad to worse over the years, and right now there's just a lot of turmoil that's happening in my home country. However, there's a gleam of light in the darkness that you can look through right now for Haiti. There's still some things to look forward to and be happy about, and one of them is women's football. Honestly, Haiti has its best women's team, its best selection of women's players that we've ever had, ever. Mesdames yo bon. Mesdames yo bon. Mesdames yo kon jouer boule. Mesdames yo kon jouer boule. And obviously you have the top star like Melchi Dumornay. You have Roselor Borgela. You have even young players in the U17. You have Lugina Etienne, who scored this incredible goal in the U17 Women's Championship. And it's like, you have the quality, even in goal. You have Kelly Theus, who did her thing in the World Cup. Like, we qualified, Haiti's women's qualified for the first time ever in the Women's World Cup and put up a fight. They held England to a 1-0 loss. They held England to a 1-0 loss. They held China to a 1-0 loss. These are juggernauts. These are giants in women's football. And they were able to put up good fights and good performances. And so the point is that women's football should be supported in Haiti. This is a testament to what happens when you support women's sports. And for our country specifically, it's just like we have to put a lot more attention, a lot more resources behind these women. Mesdames yo vle jouer. Mesdames yo vle jouer. If y'all understand Creole. Mesdames yo vle jouer. Mesdames yo kon jouer. And where yo ka travay, yo gen talent, nou gan pil talent. And so we have to support them. And one way that I specifically support women's Haitian football is through Goals Haiti. Now, Goals Haiti is a charity in Haiti. Through football, they support youth development. Not just through football, through also education. They provide meals for the kids. They provide a safe space to learn and to expand on their intellect, and not just in a physical aspect on the pitch. Yes, they do have fun. They do play a lot of football, but they also care about the brain and the intellectual development of these young boys and girls. And this is an initiative that I employ, that I encourage a lot of people to stand behind, as I do. Goals Haiti is doing some amazing work, and obviously they need help. They need help from Haitian people in Haiti, Haitian people in Haiti who are capable of, and Haitians in the diaspora, right? Diaspora yo, ki nan lot peyi yo. If you support Haitian women's football, if you support the fact that we're doing so well, that they've been killing it, that they made it to the World Cup, and that, you know, there's so much more that they can do. There's so much further that we can go. If you support that initiative, then you're going to support Goals Haiti, and you're going to tap in with them, and you're going to find on their website, on their Instagram page, ways that you can help. Anything helps. Resources help. Providing funds help. But it's only together as the people in better positions to be able to support our countries in different ways. And you know, what you don't know what you don't know. So it's my job to be telling y'all right now of these things, to be informing y'all that there are charities such as Goals Haiti who are doing amazing work and who are helping the youth, both in a physical aspect and an athletic aspect, but also in an intellectual aspect. So big shout out to Goals Haiti for providing that safe space. And faut nous supporter. Supporter, mesdames yo. Haitian women's football is up. It keeps going up, and I can't wait to see where it goes. I saw this meme on Out of Context Football. Shout out of Context Football on Twitter or X. But it was a meme of Garnacho laying down on the ground behind Liverpool's wall or United's wall during their matchup in the FA Cup. He's laying down on the ground like these aunties. Like, y'all ever seen that boy leaning like this, comfortable as hell on the ground, as if there's not a free kick that's about to be shot. Like, why are you so comfortable? Like, y'all ever go into the room, your mom ever in her bedroom on the phone and you creep into the door trying to ask her if you can go out to play? One of the comments said, "It's giving draw me like one of your little French girls." Like, I really felt it was very Titanic-y from Garnacho laying on the ground like that. Please, why is he so comfortable? Maybe that's what the mentality that it takes to win a matchup like that. It's just to chill. Like, just, you know what I'm saying? Just big chilling vibes. And honestly, and he didn't score, but maybe that's the type of energy that helped United to calm down. But one thing that was really interesting, I don't know whose calves that is. I don't know whose calves that is on the far right, but the length that footballers will go through to rip holes in their socks will always blow my mind. And if you see that and you don't understand why footballers cut holes into their socks, I'll explain right now. Essentially, football socks, especially the long ones, are extremely tight, right? And if you have big calves, they're tube socks. They're like the size of my wrist, right? I don't got a big wrist. It's the size. They're usually flat, unworn, new football socks are like the size of this mic, or the length, the width of this mic. They're not very big, so they're extremely tight. And footballers tend to have big calves. So when you're putting on those socks, it can be extremely uncomfortable to play with, right? It might not make a huge difference, but players like to be as free and fluid as possible. And so the reason why a lot of players like Jude Bellingham, players like Kyle Walker, and so many others cut their socks is because it helps with the circulation around their calves. Now, players like Jack Grealish just skip all of that and they just get shorter socks, or they roll down their socks a little bit more so that it's under their calves. But some players like the feel of the long socks. They just don't want it to feel too tight and suffocate their calves and their legs. So they just cut some holes in the back of it, and they get super creative. Some of them go the cheese route and cut holes all over, and some just put 1 or 2 slices in the back of their calves. But now you know why footballers cut holes behind their socks. It's essentially just so that their ankles can breathe, because they're crying for help. And they're like, I want to breathe. I want to let out. I want the blood flow to circulate. Help. Last but not least, as always, we care extremely here. I care about the questions that you guys have, the thoughts that you guys have. I talk on here and you guys listen and you guys support, whether it's on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. You guys constantly show love. And so every single week, I will ask you guys for your thoughts, for your questions, because I want to know what you think. I want to know what's in that beautiful football fan brain of yours. Because if you're watching here, you definitely got an interesting mind, because we go all over the place on Evergreen. So with that being said, though, you guys answered question this week. At Reborn Young, shout out to at Reborn Young, says, the player that made you fall in love with the game. The player that made me fall in love with the game, honestly, R9. R9. And the answer is very, very simple. And R9 played during the time. He came before my time, honestly. A lot of what I seen from R9 was when I was extremely young, but also from rewatching the game. But my legal middle name is Ronaldo. And I was named after R9, not Cristiano Ronaldo, but Ronaldo Luis Nazario da Lima, the Brazilian Ronaldo. Jogo bonito to the max, the exemplification of Brazilian football royalty. Yes, that Ronaldo, the king of football, that Ronaldo. And he put so much fear in defenders' hearts. He put so much joy in Brazilian fans' hearts. In Haiti, where I grew up, you're either a fan of Argentina or Brazil. It's split. It's like Democrats versus Republicans. It's blue and red. It's black and white. Like, it's that polar. You either support Argentina or Brazil. And my family supported Brazil. My dad was a huge fan of R9. And so it was only right that he names his son or he gives his son the middle name as Ronaldo at least, right? The first name was non-negotiable, but he had to settle for the middle name. And so that's something that all throughout my childhood I grew up with, is hearing how great this man was, seeing getting to see a little bit of the last laps of him, getting to see a little bit of the end of his career, especially with Brazil. I got to witness him winning the World Cup in 2002 with Brazil, and that was incredible. And his story of overcoming adversity is something that I really, really resonate with. The fact that he was able to come from injury and win a World Cup, the fact that he was able to get over that extremely, extremely grueling injury, possibly career-ending injury, and he was able to come back and triumph the biggest stage in football. You can't not be inspired by that. R9 was pure football magic. You can see it run through his blood even now that he's older in charity matches. You can see that man was a baller back in the day. So he made me fall in love with the game. So great question, Reborn. Also, JD_ASAP28 says, what's your thoughts on what's happening in Haiti? I spoke about it earlier. I'm from there. It's obviously extremely sad. I don't have that many people left in Haiti. Just to get just a little bit personal, most of my family is here in the United States. They're spread out all across the world. But what's happening in Haiti is extremely sad, and it's something that I try my best, again, working with charities like Goes Haiti, to try and help the people over there still, because it's so, especially in the capital, it's so all over the place. It gets so dangerous that I'm not able to physically go there and help people, even though I really want, and it aches me and it hurts me that I'm not able to help in a more substantial way, because it's so much deeper than just one person, whether you have the money or not to do, that the most that I can do, whether it's through football, whether it's through working with other Haitian people, whether it's continuing to build my platform and my network to one day be able to substantially help over there, and continuing to work with Goes Haiti to provide help and resources for these kids. However much I can help, and that you guys can help, definitely do, because it's a sad situation. First Black Republic to free itself from colonial rule should not be going through this, and for a lot of reasons, it's continuing to sour up in Haiti, and we can only pray and continue to do our part to be in a better positions to help, and to leave you guys with the quote of the week. Thank you guys so much for all of your questions. Continue to submit, whether it's through DM or to answering the stickers whenever we post them on the goals page on my Instagram. Send in your questions, comments. Let me know about yourselves too. Don't just ask questions. I want to know about you guys. What do you guys love? What are you guys into? Who are you? Where are you from? Definitely let me know all of that. But to leave you with the quote of the week is, don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seed that you plant. And one of the biggest examples of that, for example, Lionel Messi, right? Spent his whole career, 30 years of his life playing this game. One of the most talented, if not the most talented footballer to ever live, to ever play the game. One of the GOATs of football, spent 30 years of his life playing at the highest level. As a youngster, came into a Barcelona team that was already stacked and made his name as the GOAT, whether you agree or not, as the GOAT of football. And still only was able to win the World Cup in his very last World Cup for Argentina, in the end of his career. Essentially, it's coming to the end of his career. But honestly, if Messi was able to wait 2 decades of a footballing career to win the World Cup, that just goes to show the amount of patience and perseverance, even at this level, that you need to have and that you can apply within your life. Like, this man waited 20 years, disappointments, making it to the final of the World Cup and losing, crying on the pitch like we've never seen Messi do before, and still able now to say that he's a World Cup champion. He's conquered all of football. And that is a direct reflection of all the work that he has done for 2-3 decades prior to that. Winning that World Cup was the plant, was the beautiful flower blossoming tree that is the direct result of the seed that he's been planting all his life. Take notes from that. Plant the seed, continue to water it and nurture it every single day, and grow it to a beautiful plant, a beautiful flower, a beautiful tree, whatever it is that you want it to be. With that being said, it's been your boy Elischa, man. Look, make sure you subscribe to the Gold channel. Make sure you subscribe, because that only helps us to grow more and more. That only helps us to grow this family and continue to expand Evergreen, everlasting, all across the world. I appreciate y'all so much for tuning in, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to episode 2 of Evergreen. It's been your boy Elischa, and I will see you next time. Peace.